Hello, welcome to part 2 of this tutorial series for the DIY budgeting sheet on Fiverr.com. Please see the link below in the description. The third FAQ is, why is there an option for fifth pay period? Now you'll notice on this budgeting sheet, if you scroll down on January of 2023, you will see that there is an option for a fifth pay period. You'll see a text here that says fifth pay period, question, and then you put 1 for yes. So that means that if you put a 1 here, it will include a fifth pay period. Well, bam, it'll auto-populate. If you put a 1, if you put a 0, it will just make everything 0. It won't even be included in the whole budget if you put a 0 here. So why is this an option though? Why is there 5 pay periods? Well, the reason why there's an option for a fifth pay period is because there are 52 weeks per year. If you look at a calendar, you can count them. There are 52 weeks in a year. Now, that means that there's 4 months each year that vary each time. Every year it varies, but there's 4 months which has 5 paydays if you're paid weekly. If you're paid bi-weekly, that means you have 3 paydays for 4 months in the year. But it can vary though, depending on which day you're paid. So for an example here, let's just do the typical example of you're paid every Friday, every week. In that case, January, you'll notice it goes, let's actually look here. January, you notice you start on Friday, you have 4 Fridays in January. So that means you're only going to be paid 4 times in January. Same thing with February, you have 4 Fridays. But in March of this year, or 2023, and if you're watching this in the future, you notice that March has 5 pay periods, making March your first month in 2023 that has 5 pay periods. And that is why it's an option on this budgeting sheet, is because on March, if you're paid every Friday, that means you want to go down here and you want to turn this on. And by turning this on, you just press 1, and then your fifth pay period 5, is now calculated in your budget. And that is why it's an option, because let's say, it's optional, because let's say you're a different person, you're paid at a different time. Let's say you're paid every, I don't know, Saturday, for example. So if you're paid every Saturday, that means on March you're only going to be paid 4 times in March. So that means March, you would have this fifth pay period turned off. It would be 0. But in April, you'll notice that April has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pay periods. If you're paid on Saturday, you have a fifth pay period in April. So that means in April, in that case, you would go here and you turn fifth pay period, put 1 for yes. You put 1 for yes. And well, bam, it is included in your budget. Now, this works the same if you're paid bi-weekly. So if you're paid bi-weekly and you're paid every other Friday, for example, starting in the beginning, the first Friday of March. So let's say you have pay period 1 right here, then blank, and then pay period 2, blank, and then pay period 3. So that means March has a total of 3 pay periods. That could be a little bit dicey, because that means that March, you're not paid until you're not paid again until, for April it's going to be a little tricky, because then that means you're not paid again until the 14th. So your first pay period for April is the 14th, and then your second pay period for April will be the 28th. So just because it has March and this is April, it doesn't mean the pay periods are necessarily going to be in the same month, if that makes any sense. But that's how the theory goes as far as pay periods operate. That is why there is a option for a 5th pay period. And according to my previous video, if you're paid biweekly, this would be pay period 3. Please see the previous video for further instructions on how that works. But there you go. That is why there is a 5th pay period, aka 3rd pay period option.